Congratulations! You just defeated Zoe, Rayne, and her companion Griswold.
But what led to this moment? Let's go and see. Before this incident, Zoe had successfully defeated everyone who tried to take over the tower. She was placed in a tower that was nearest to their base. It was the same tower her father used to protect a decade ago. She didn't understand why she was protecting it. No one ever told her, but it had to be important if her father did it as well. The true purpose of these towers is a mystery, but it is possible that the towers were used as a mechanism to seal the Palpagos Island. This would have happened maybe hundreds of years ago, but we have really no way to tell. Let's go a bit further in time. Zoe was on her late teenage years when she wanted to explore the island. She had lived her whole life there, but never had the opportunity to go exploring it properly. She had heard and seen other groups, and she wanted to get to know the people there better. After asking around, she learned that their group had been fighting with the Free Pal Alliance group for a long time. But no one wanted to explain why. The true reason was that the FBA was fighting the Syndicate group because their ideology differed from Syndicate's, but also because they wanted the profit from selling the pals to themselves. But all that was said to Zoe was, "It is complicated." Zoe felt that she wasn't appreciated in her own group, so she decided to leave with Griswold and explore the island. She traveled the land and bonded more with her pal companion. After some time, they returned to the base and Zoe was given the title of a boss. Bandits told her that she had shown to be capable and powerful for the job. Her group told her that her place was in the tower.
Let's go even further back in time.
Zoe was used to the killing and capturing and selling of the creatures. She didn't like it, but always when their group sold a creature, she got something to eat. The most of the creatures they sold were the weakest ones because the weaker creatures were easier to capture over and over again. Sometimes other groups attacked their base, and they had to fight. During these attacks, Zoe was afraid and hoped that her father would come and protect her as he had done many times before. But he never came. Zoe's father had been missing almost a year by now. One time Zoe saw this new creature, Griswold, in a cage. It reminded her of her father, so she set it free, and they escaped to the wilderness. They ran for a while, but due to the lack of planning, Zoe didn't have anything with her to survive alone with her new friend. So they came back to the base in the evening. Mad for stealing the powerful creature, the Syndicate bandits locked both Zoe and Griswold to the same cage. Griswold noticed the crying child, and because Zoe had given it food earlier, it decided to help her. Afraid in the cage, Zoe watched Griswold tear open the bars of the cage and sat still in the bandit crossfire. Zoe yelled to the creature to end the fighting, so it did, with a bolt of lightning. Ever since then, Zoe has been with Griswold. The bandits didn't want to mess with her new friend, so they just let them be and carried out everything as normal for some years. They valued their life. Sometime after this event, some of the bandits learned that Zoe's father was killed by one of the other bosses, Marcus Dryden. They didn't know why or how, but they didn't want to tell this to Zoe, so everyone who knew kept it to themselves.
It's time to rewind. Let's say 20 years this time.
About 20 years ago, Zoe was born. Zoe's mother died sometime after her birth and her father's world collapsed around him. He knew nothing about raising a child. He had to keep the place safe because he was named the boss, and he had to do all this alone. During the first half of her life, Zoe rarely saw her father. He was busy protecting the tower and doing business with other groups. When Zoe was around 9 years old, her father went missing. He knew that they needed more money to live a better and safer life, so he used his knowledge about the PIDF boss Marcus and tried to steal from him. He managed to do this a few times, but Marcus quickly caught him in action. Zoe's father was stealing and trying to sell Marcus's stems behind his back, so Marcus sent his Phalaris to deal with the matter. The Syndicate bandits raised Zoe because they're not heartless monsters, and they had been doing it for many years now, mostly because she was a daughter of one of their bosses. The bandits wanted to keep young Zoe out from what they were doing because they were afraid she wouldn't understand. She was only 9 years old after all, and they wanted to protect her from the dangers of the world. The bandits proceeded to capture and sell the creatures to different groups for food and for other goodies, not telling anything to Zoe. Zoe was used to not seeing her father for long periods of time because he was alone inside the tower protecting it, but this time he had been gone longer than ever before. When asking around, no one knew where he was, nor they knew when he was coming back.
How about we learn a bit more about Zoe's parents?
Zoe's mother was captured by Palpagos Island Defense Force after stumbling near their base. Zoe's father was part of the PIDF when he saw his colleagues capture an outsider. He knew that their boss, Marcus, was more than he let his followers believe. He was a corrupted leader who used everyone for his own personal gain. Being a descendant of the people who arrived to the island decades ago, Zoe's father hadn't seen the outside world but had heard stories of it. He wanted to help this person, so he set her free, and they escaped. Knowing that there was no place for him back with the PIDF anymore, they went to one of the bandit camps and asked to stay there. The answer was no. They started fighting, but the bandits soon realized that the old PIDF officer was way more skilled in battle than they were, so they were allowed to stay. This sparked a romance between the outsider and the man. Few years pass, and the old PIDF officer had shown his strength and loyalty among the syndicate bandits and therefore dubbed the leader. Not long after this, Zoe was born.
A castaway shipwrecked on the Palpagos Island. They had only been around 1 month, but they had gotten quite good at managing themselves already. But there was still a lot they didn't know. They ventured all over the island to understand its mysteries until one day, they got caught.
Thank you for watching. But before you go, let's recap. Zoe's parents meet. Zoe's father is named the leader of the syndicate group. Zoe was born. Zoe's mother dies. Zoe's father goes missing. Zoe is raised by the syndicate bandits. Zoe sees a Griswold in a cage, and they escape to the woods. Zoe and Griswold are locked up together when they return to the base. Griswold almost kills everyone and in the end, bonds with Zoe. Sick of being not treated like an adult, Zoe leaves the base to bond more with Griswold. When they come back, Zoe is dubbed the leader of the group, and now her duty is to protect the tower. Then the player arrives and kills Zoe and her companion Griswold.